All right, it sounds like we're good to go with Quest for Glory collection from davidtki, so I'll turn it over to them.
Hi everyone, my name is David. I'm going to be doing the Quest for Glory collection run. I want to go over a few things before I start because it's very fast paced, but basically all 5 Quest for Glory games, we're going to start with the first one. At the end of each game, we will export our hero into the next game, and it's going to be really fast and really fun. On the couch with me, I have Mr. P.R. Miller, and then on Discord, we have Lori and Corey Cole.
Hey, it's Corey. Hi.
And this is Lori.
Really great to have you guys back.
Can we get a round of applause for Lori and Corey? All right, perfect. So I want to go over a couple of things really quick before the run begins, because I'm not going to have time during. I'm specifically playing version 1.0 of Quest for Glory 1 EGA, the original Heroes Quest, and the main reason for that is because I don't need to hear the hide-and-go-seek password before I use it. And then for my starting stats, Strength 40 will open the rock door 100% every time, and the rest goes into Magic because Magic is a win button. So I need the name of the hero.
Your hero's name is Slowpoke.
Slowpoke.
Is that right? Is that the right spell? Nice.
Yep, that's correct.
Perfect.
Yeah, 1.0 allows us to metagame a little bit better.
This one's going to be anything but. So, we ready to go? All right. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
So one of the reasons that we run 1.0 rather than 1.2 is because, first of all, we can metagame a little different, but there's another feature that was in 1.0 that isn't in 1.2. It's called the high-speed hero. Corey, Lori, what goes into the high-speed hero?
Well, I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it.
What we found is what we thought was that it was a way to skip certain frames on slower PCs because, I mean, you guys were limited in the resources that you had whenever you were making it. So the thought was that if you could skip some frames and make the hero go a little bit faster, that older systems could actually run the game.
That may be some sort of DOSBox patch because, I don't recall anything like that in the original version.
Well, we found it whenever we were clicking across the top bar, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it is one of the toggleable options on the where it says, so you want to be a hero up top.
Yeah, it might have been designed for actually slow machines.
And you can see this is going much faster than the VGA version. He's already in the final room of the game. Normally you go through and you collect 5 different things. Instead, we're going to be the least heroic we can. He's going to cast open, and he's going to run away, and the game thinks because you face the bad guy, that's enough to be a hero.
So that's Quest for Glory 1.
Yeah.
1 game down, 4 to go.
Well, yeah, that's just exactly the way we designed
So we used to run the VGA version for our collection runs, but more recently we actually switched to EGA, and the reason for that is we're going to have to export our hero, and in order to do that we have to wait for the entire ending to play out. That's 3 minutes long. It's a lot shorter in the VGA version, but even with that, this version's faster. We're going to save about half a minute just from execution on this game, and then we're going to save another half a minute in the next game because we import with more gold.
Yeah, one of the differences that we found is that whenever you glitch out, you can use the same glitches to get out of the VGA and EGA version, which was always fascinating because it suggested that a lot of the same code was used or pulled over in some way, because you can throw a dagger in both versions and run out. But exporting is a little different because if we go from the VGA version to 2, we start with 3 gold. But if we go from the EGA version to 2, we have 150 gold, which is all the money that we'll need going into the next game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the way the conversion worked, originally we thought this would be a small deal to go from EGA to VGA, and the artist said, we need to, how much do we need to keep and how much do we need to redo? And the artist said about 80%. Management assumed that 80% meant what we were keep. The artist meant, no, we have to redo 80%. But they did start with the same source code. Everything had to be redone because as they painted the scenes in VGA, everything was a few pixels off, and so everything needed to be readjusted.
There's a few other differences. The mushroom glitch is VGA only.
That's true. In 100%, we actually use version of the EGA. We use version 1.2. But what we found is that if you can pick up enough rocks or enough mushrooms and some other things, you can actually overflow your weight to be a negative, and that means that you're virtually unhittable by monsters.
Did you know about that? I love this game that you two have created, and I am lovingly breaking it apart.
Yeah, you managed to break it pretty well.
Well, there was another negative thing. Yeah, SCI only had 16-bit arithmetic,
Okay.
and in the save game, I didn't realize that it was signed arithmetic. So we actually only had 32,000 something was the maximum number. And the experience points could get past that and go negative, and that ended up corrupting the entire save game. Couldn't happen in the first game, but it happened in later games, the saves.
That is an interesting fact.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, we haven't played around with the experience points, other than in the first game, experience points will trigger certain monsters appearing at different times of the game. So, in fact, you can only fight the hardest boss or the hardest monster in the game whenever you have 1,000 experience points. But now he's going to be hitting over to Quest for Glory 2, and this was a loving fan remake of the second game, done with a limited license from Sierra.
Do I need to wait a little bit for the recrop?
One of the dangers of running 5 different games and 5 different engines, and they all want to play nicely together.
Okay, you can more or less see it. I'm going.
Nice.
I'm leaving Silly Clowns on, by the way, for all you fans out there.
I approve.
Yeah, the Silly Clowns, that was in the EGA version also, wasn't it?
It was?
And that is, does that trigger certain Easter eggs? That's what my understanding is.
I believe so.
So you notice he's got 142 gold coming into this. He's doing small exchanges at a particular rate because at 50 gold, you are at a lower exchange rate, so he's going to end up with more total. If he did the whole thing at once, he wouldn't have enough money, and he would actually need to do like some actual heroic stuff. By the way, this is one of the few games in the series that we will actually be heroes.
But incidentally, it's not actually a difference in exchange rate. It's if the money changer decides that you're rich, she'll take a little bit extra on the side just because she can.
Well, she
You'll never
does
miss.
run the Thieves Guild. Well, I mean, she is the Thieves Guild, basically.
And that makes sense, too. Her name, doesn't that mean something like money lover? I forget what it was.
Yeah, it's money. It's yes.
If I remember correctly, it's Child of Money.
Child of Money, all right. And what he's doing now, he's waiting until day 5 or 6. The fire elemental is going to pop up, and he has very little hit points, so what he needs to do is actually be pretty quick here. He's going to run out, drop some incense on the ground, lure it into a smaller area.
That was close.
That was pretty close. He will get one shot by this monster. Normally, you import or start a new game with way more hit points than he normally has, but because we exported immediately, we are way weaker than we normally are.
Apologize, stream. The mouse does not lock.
Yeah, the mouse does not lock to the window in this version, so he might drag the stream down a couple times. So. Interesting.
So it's his heroism by sleeping through all the quests.
Pretty much, yeah. There's not much. We don't like to actually be heroic. Being a hero takes time in speedruns, and that's the worst thing that you could possibly do. I mean, we would rather save frames than save humanity. That's the idea behind it. In fact, in the EGA version, whenever the tool-assisted speedrunner went through, he found a way to skip actually killing all of the elementals, or defeating the elementals. So in the EGA version, we pretty much don't do anything anymore. We just sleep through the entire day, warp around a little bit at night, and all the elementals are still in the city whenever we leave for Razier.
Unfortunately, in the EGA version, Razier has an unavoidable 10-minute wait where you stand around doing literally nothing.
Which is why it's faster to be heroic in Quest for Glory 2 than it is otherwise.
So is this the intermission or something in
It's Razier. You have to wait until evening for the rooms to open, and that takes 6 minutes.
By the way, Razier is an anagram of Sierra, and many of the characters in Quest for Glory 2 are variations on names of Sierra management. We were having so much problems with management in this game that they had brought in a very structured system where previously they pretty much let designers do what they wanted to do. And we were so frustrated with Sierra that we parodied a number of people in this game.
By the way, this is going to hurt a little bit.
There is a quick strategy that sometimes works where you can throw and kamikaze twice, and you can get the elemental in one shot there, but he's usually pretty quick to return.
Hope you saved your game.
I saved. I'm fine. Not even close. No problem.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong here. This game actually, because it goes on the day-night cycle, reminds me a lot more of your new game, Corey and Laurie, Hero U, which was released not too long ago, right? About a year?
Last July, actually. We put out the final patch so far in February this year, and it's Hero-U, www.hero-u.com, and please check it out if you like Quest for Glory, or if you interested in either role-playing games or story games or Sierra.
Now, it seems like it's actually, I mean, it's been called like a spiritual successor to the Quest for Glory series, but I mean, I've been looking through that game, and it seems like it takes place in the same universe as the Quest for Glory series.
Yeah,
maybe on
that's actually our role-playing world that we had for about 10 years before we went to Sierra.
Oh, okay.
And so they're all kind of set in the same world, which is just basically a renamed Earth.
Yeah, it took me way too long to realize what Gloriana meant. I'm not sure why I didn't realize it sooner.
Oh, what do you think it means?
Glory. Quest for Glory. Gloriana.
Yeah, and actually we called the world Gloriana before we ever started Sierra, and before this was originally called Heroes Quest rather than Quest for Glory. So Quest for Glory kind of just came out of...
So it's a coincidence?
Not exactly. We had two gaming worlds. We had Gloriana and we had Corianne. And Corianne, of course, was my first name and Laurie's middle name. But yeah, Gloriana sort of got the Ann in there again.
So our
yeah, Hero U is a little bit different type game because it is very strictly schedule-oriented, sort of a school simulator as well as all the other stuff. But this is such an amazing scene. You should be watching the intermission.
Oh, yeah.
And it's over. I'm really glad I have the power of cutscene here. My hero's not strong enough to actually win.
Yeah, if he actually had the legit...
Nonsense. You're a hero, and that overcomes all odds.
So we figured, like the rest of it, the hero in the intermission went to get the popcorn and soda and came back after the fight was over.
Truly heroic.
David will probably take a safety save here because this is like one of the few places where death is very costly because of the intermission. There's like 2 pixels that he has to click the hand on, and if you misclick, you get up from the table, and that's a GG. That's a death.
That's known as superior game design.
Yeah. But right there, being able to sleep through the night is the big reason why we run the VGA version, because in the EGA version, you just run back and forth, doing your best to waste time, because there's no rest mechanic, only in a few select spots, which was a big difference between 2 and 1.
The other bit is the room opens at sunset instead of night is young.
Valid. This is a very infamous scene in the Quest for Glory lore. Even among all 5 games, this is the one that catches some attention online.
Tisk. Especially in VGA.
Yes, and they did program it. For science, you test that. You know, do a search online. All right, you'll find. You just Google it.
Let's keep this stream PG.
Well, it's the, just like ancient statuary. It's art.
Yes. I figured Al Lowe may have been on your team for that point. I wasn't sure. So.
No, I think that one was actually my idea because we had a whole bunch of, joke things in Keep on Laughing's Magic Shop. And I remembered from my childhood, Boys Life magazine always had the X-ray glasses advertised in the back. So I said, we should have some X-ray glasses. And then we had that, and I had written the text. It's like looking through a veil when you use the glasses. And when they put that, her changing behind a veil,
yes!
I said, "Oh, we gotta actually have you look through the veil there and have the absolutely useless X-ray glasses do something."
I'm sorry, I cheered because Prince Alexander showed up in the waterfall.
Yeah, from King's Quest 6. Actually, I think it's 5.
3.
Is it 3 that comes out?
It's
comes
both.
From?
Yeah.
But the developers of AGD Interactive programs that was actually a timed Easter egg that released after a certain point.
Uh-oh. That room's dangerous.
Most dangerous room in the game, other than the bar. Yeah, you were extra safe. You're fine. Yeah. Now we're going to do the heroic thing. Fall. Nice.
It's faster. I don't have time for safety.
So we're in an ancient cave here. We've been trapped here by one of the characters, who, because there's a prophecy that only the hero can get this magic ring, and he wants it, so he gets you to do all the dirty work.
Wait, why did he teleport in?
No, but
Magic.
yeah, exactly. Literally, a wizard did it. Now, what I always think is funny is that you get a lot of comparisons between him and Jafar, and this game actually predates Disney's Aladdin by, I think, 2 years. So you guys were ahead of the curve. I mean, you even beat Disney out on that one.
Well,
we all pull from the same stuff.
that's one theory. My theory is that Disney actually, people at Disney were playing our games and said, "Oh, this is really fun. We should do a movie based."
By the way, that's Quest for Glory 2.
Yes.
Well done.
Yeah,
It takes me a little longer to play it. I did a live stream of it for 6 hours and didn't finish the game. In fact, I don't think we made it to the second elemental.
Well, you did the EGA version also, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm
But
partial.
mostly it was the fact that I was too busy talking and clicking on every single thing in the game to actually, do things quick.
And that's one thing that's missed a lot is that you can use the eye icon on pretty much everything in this game, or hit look at or talk to. All of these characters have wonderfully written dialogue, just so well planned out. They give you the lore of the. We're missing so much in this series, but you learn a lot. And Laura, you did most of the writing for that, am I right?
Oh yeah, all of the dialogue, some of the other stuff.
And just out of curiosity, for Hero U, do you know how many lines of dialogue you wrote, or how thick that book was, or what was the game that you spent the most time planning dialogue for?
Oh, that would have to be Hero U, Road to Redemption. It's 450,000 words.
Nice.
Which is about twice as large as Quest for Glory 3 and 4. And it's about the size of one of the later Harry Potter novels.
Yeah, I would think that's also, if I'm doing my math right, I think that's actually 10 times the amount of words that Dante did in the Divine Comedy. So you wrote 10
Well, it
epics.
takes a lot to tell a story.
And it takes even more to have Easter eggs everywhere, because basically we had Josh Mandel who worked at Sierra and worked with Aldo on the Leisure Suit Larry remake and on Freddie Farkas' Frontier Pharmacist.
Oh, wow.
And hilariously funny guy. And so he wrote a lot of the text for Hero U for clicking on objects and came up with some really funny stuff.
This game is going to be a little bit different than what we did in 2016 whenever this game showed up at Limit Break. David was the founder of a really interesting glitch. And whereas before we pretty much beat the game, we're going to leave a couple things intact. We're no longer going to get married. We are no longer going to defeat any wizards. We're not going to solve any racial issues. We're pretty much just going to run as fast from this problem as we can.
A hero's got to do what a hero's got to do.
How heroic.
Yeah, when Lori and I did the live stream of this a few days ago, we used the Bravely Run Away a whole lot. And the reason for that is I had accidentally set the skill level to maximum, which means that I couldn't even get a hit on any of the monsters with my skill levels. So we did a lot of running away until somebody pointed out my skill level was set to max. I turned it down a little when I was able to play it.
Well, even with the skill level as low as it is, I think David's weapon use is somewhere in the range of about 15, whereas if you start a new game, I think you have 100. Because he's been importing all of his character is so low in stats at this point that he, the crocodile could probably poke him with a pillow. He would probably fall over pretty tough.
Those pillows are hard.
Especially in Tarna.
All right, so at the beginning of the game, I was basically just killing time until day 3 because that's when the magic happens. It's going to be great.
Yeah, whenever you're running with Rakesh, who is going to be taking us to the Simbani village, David discovered, I think on accident on a stream, a nice little trick, and we're going to show it off right here.
I will need to take a safety save before it.
Just in case.
Because if I mess it up, then I don't want to have to do the entire rest of the game. Because I don't know how to do it anymore.
But what a challenge that would be for you.
And
got it.
There you go. We call this the David's do-gooder ditch glitch.
Yeah, basically, during the screen transition, the icon was very briefly available, so I quickly switched to walk and clicked somewhere, and so now the game is glitched. We're not going to see any random encounters. Time is not passing. Now Rakesh is no longer with me. But when I get to the Lost City screen, then something amazing is going to happen. Well, basically, when I transition to that screen, it thinks I'm being accompanied by someone, so naturally, a monkey's going to appear right next to me, and that's an endgame script.
Yeah, we are now transitioning to the end game.
So a monkey runs through it.
Yeah, I'm not a pun guy. I know, I love the Quest for Glory. I'm not a pun guy, but we really did throw a monkey wrench into this one. So yeah, he's going to argue with a monkey for a little bit, and the monkey's going to take him to where the final demons are. So not only did we not solve any problems, we actually froze the universe in this world here at this point. Time doesn't change. Nothing works the way that it should anymore.
Now, is that better or worse than what happens if you fail to defeat the demons here?
Sorry, I couldn't.
Is that better or worse than what happens if you fail to defeat the demons here?
Hey,
I don't know if that's any worse, actually. I think
more
we
fun
might
than a barrel of monkeys.
So funny thing there is I never got a rope with my grapnel, but I can use it anyways.
Yeah, the game just assumes that you
Oh,
have
every
the rope.
adventure carries rope, of course. Yeah, we all learned that from
Danger's coming. I must bravely run away.
Actually, it was Lord of the Rings first book.
So this entire third game actually wasn't planned as part of the original set. As I understand it, you kind of decided suddenly it was like, it doesn't seem like the heroes actually should be strong enough to go fight the Dark One in Mordavia. Is that correct?
It was more an issue of this idea fit in really well with the universe, and we had a long break between game number 2, and we didn't want to go into having the best game of the whole series after the break. We wanted to transition to.
I do agree with you on the best game of the series, too.
4 was my favorite growing up.
Here is actually the gatekeeper of the series. David's going to be getting into a little bit of a scuffle. Normally we have dispel potions that interrupt this fight, so that way we don't have to have it. But there's only one way through this, and that's through this demon. So, and he is not skilled enough. In fact, this demon can very well one-shot him. And the combat in this game is a little glitched. In fact, you're actually getting way more physical attacks than I thought you would. If we spam magic, which is the effective way to hit him, it doesn't quite work. In fact, if anything, we'll run out of magic way faster. It seems like there's a gap between when the attacks happen, and so like we have to wait. Like I think it's like 2 or 3 seconds in between casting spells. Otherwise, it won't actually register as a hit. So he's
Yeah, there were some hidden timers to keep you from just spamming stuff, because that was kind of like not in the spirit. It was a bad simulation for you to be able to just spam spells.
Gotcha.
And now your stamina points are low, so you'll start taking hit point damage from low stamina if it gets much lower.
It's better than taking a punch to the face.
Or
It is, absolutely.
Or better from dying from no stamina, like in the earlier Quest for Glory games.
Got him.
That was actually really clean.
Very nice. Very heroic.
Yeah, very.
So yeah, Laurie did a lot of research for every one of these games. Like before he did Quest for Glory 2, read through part of the 1001 Arabian Nights. We still have the 11-volume set of that. And for this one, read a whole bunch of books on the Maasai tribe and so on to be able to get authenticity. So it's a fantasy universe, but it's an Earth analog fantasy.
So the real question I have is, who are all these people coming through the portal? I have never met anybody here.
But these are all your friends. Don't you remember them?
Well, there is dialogue, David.
There is?
Yeah, while you were sleeping in the inn, they were coming to you in dreams. Don't you remember your dreams? Aslan, yeah, that one.
C.S. Lewis. Well, he would be pretty. I think he'd like this series.
So I do have another fight coming up here with my doppelganger. Luckily for us, we're scripted to lose this fight, so being the weakest hero imaginable is actually to our benefit.
Yeah, having low hit points here, the game actually thinks because his hit points are so low that he's about to die, and that's not wrong. He's about to die at any point, but it pretty much just ends the fight almost instantly.
Yeah, as you can see in that distorting your mirror, your copy is actually much more buff and muscular than you are.
Nice.
It's not hard.
There he is. And we bravely run away.
Yet again.
Here's another fun glitch.
Yeah, so if you click hand here before the hero comes on screen, he stops coming on, and then you can be out of bounds and just walk all the way over here. So the demon wizard doesn't see what's coming. But the big demon lord still appears. It's a little glitch there. That's Quest for Glory 3, by the way.
That's...
I love this game, and I have broken it.
Yeah, there's a couple places in this game where the hit detection on the walls seems like it's like it's missing a couple pixels.
Yeah, that action at the end reminded me of the dance in the fairy ring in fairy mushrooms circle in game 1.
Yes. The better dance or the worse dance? Which one? And here comes the only game in the series that we can't break.
It'll take a little while to load. This is normal. It happens with MT32 emulation. If I was using Sound Blaster, it would probably be up in a snap. but I'm sacrificing speed for quality. I mean, just listen to that.
Yeah, the Roland soundtrack really is the way to hear this game.
So from Quest for Glory 4 onward, the games finally bring us up to the minimum stats that you would start the game with normally, so we're no longer so weak.
Yeah, we had a different musician on each of the games, and they were all fabulous. This one is Aubrey Hodges. Rudy Helm on Game 3, Chris Bremen on 2, and Mark Siebert, actually Mark Siebert and Chris Bremen on 2, Mark Siebert on the first one. And, of course, Chance Thomas, Hollywood composer, did an amazing job on 5, partly because 5 ran so far behind schedule that he had 3 years to work on the soundtrack.
So I've got a really interesting glitch coming up.
Oh, yeah.
On this screen only, I can use Shift W to cast the fetch spell, which means I don't have to talk to Katrina here anymore. But also the game is now in kind of a glitched state, and I'm going to show that off in just a little bit. So first of all, we came out of the Dark One cave at night, so I'm going to rest for 4 hours. But then when we screen transition, it's still playing the forest night sounds. The game still thinks it's night. When we get to the town gates, you're going to find that it's closed.
Yeah, we somehow interrupting the script with Katrina freezes time. So this isn't the only game we freeze time in anymore. Or 3 isn't the only one.
But more than that, I can now sleep during the daytime. And that's important because I need to pass time until day 5 anyways.
Yeah, it seems like the debug or there's some developer
Stay
hotkeys that are still active in that room, and there's one other room in the game, but that's the only one that we found that has a script that we can interrupt. Hitting Shift W, even if you don't have magic, automatically casts the fetch spell, which unlocks your character. We've been able to leave the actual Dark One's mouth open, but we can't actually enter back into the cave to trigger the end game. So it's almost like another game-breaking glitch is hanging right in front of us, and we can't get it.
Yeah, there isn't actually a screen transition on that room. It's the script that does it.
Yeah.
Now, is this the floppy version or the CD voices?
Whatever is with GOG.
Yeah, this is the talkie.
With John Reese Davis, a.k.a. Gimli the Dwarf, as our lead. Jennifer Hale, is Commander Shepard.
Yeah, Jennifer Hale voices a totally ordinary peasant girl.
Extremely well, of course.
Yeah, in a time whenever like voice acting in video games got a bad rap for being kind of corny, this game stood out to me because it was just it just sounded different. Like there was like intention in the voices. So just a lot of good actors there.
Aha! Puzzle he actually has to complete.
Yeah, that's.
There's not very many of them.
I think that's the only one. No, there's another one. There is one more.
So you have to solve the little jigsaw to make a keyhole in order to be able to open the door.
I guess Dr. Cranium figured that the peasants of Mordavia would never be able to solve the keyhole puzzle.
I don't think they'd make it past the Antwerps.
Yeah. Well, they distrust science. They distrust magic. Nah, that was bad luck.
I have never gotten a random encounter there before. This has never happened before.
He had to say it. It just had to be one done there for marathon nostalgia there.
Fortunately, whenever you go into a non-generic room, it ends at random.
So one stylistic difference between Mr. Miller and myself is I don't let the computer fight for me. I just go in there and do it. That's a difference that I really appreciate.
Yeah, what I do is there's two different modes in here because I think from the last time I heard you guys had fuzzy logic implemented into this game. Am I right on that?
Yeah, the monsters were all sophisticated, artificial intelligence for the time.
And Lori, who normally did not like arcade games, but much preferred to play the manual on this. I played the automatic one because I love just watching it happen.
Yeah, that's the neat thing. With the thief has a special attack if it has magic that allows it to fly back and forth across the screen and do a ton of damage. It's not very consistent on the mouse, so I use the strategic battle plan, or the strategic setting in the control panel, and that can go faster if everything goes right, which means that it never goes faster. But David, because he speedruns fighter, in fact, that was the first one David really went through, was the fighter route. He got very good at combat, so he's able to kind of consistently deal with combat situations, of which there are only 2.
So what are you filling all those vials full?
With Grugu?
Grugu.
By the way, going on
Don't you remember?
So going on to the
Sure, it was practically yesterday that we wrote this.
And by yesterday, you mean 30 years ago?
Well, I said 35 on something, and somebody corrected me the fact that I hadn't actually started at Sierra 35 years ago, so it's actually about 25.
25 for this one, but
Oh.
was Quest for Glory 1, was that was 1989, wasn't it?
Yeah, first game we started working on in 88 and came out in 89. We had
Okay,
ridiculous
so-
schedules by current standards. We made almost all these games in under a year. The one
me a
exception
little bit
being
here.
5, which took
Wow.
3.5
Come
to
on,
4.5.
left side, there we go. I'm free.
That was really bad luck for David.
I sleep here, right? Yeah, I sleep here.
Yes. So yeah, what we're saying though is if you had it published in 1989, that means that we are at the 30th anniversary of Quest for Glory 1. So
We will be in October. Yep,
Well-
30 years ago.
in honor of that, we need to get the speedrun time down to 30 seconds. We're still a minute off.
And by game industry standards, Lori and I were already old when we started working this. We were in our early 30s, and a lot of people were teenagers or early 20s starting in games.
So I've got a little bit
Not quite half our lives.
I've got a little bit of an interesting routing decision here. So we need to visit Dr. Cranium 3 times before we get the rehydration solution. By the way, do you have the formulas
I
ready?
got them ready right here.
All right, so I visit him for the second time today, but then I'm going to rest until shortly after midnight, at which point I will then be able to visit him a third time. But because it's after midnight, that's also going to open up a couple of other options for us and save us a little bit of time. I'm getting tired. Been
Yeah.
resting all day. I'm tired.
All right. Let's see which one it is.
Jolene.
Oh, that one's easy. Pizza. Air. Pizza. And of 26 options, that was the one I was hoping was going to show up because it sounds like a woman's name, and I've always wondered, are there stories behind some of these puzzles there? Because Jolene, that sounds like a woman. I figured there was a woman who just loved pizza and would only come up for air in the middle. So the password was pizza, air, pizza. Was there like
that must be it, but I think we tried to randomize them as much as we could.
That's funny.
But it's Jolene because we wanted the letter J. We wanted every letter of the alphabet for the words so that they'd be easily distinguishable.
So all of my attempts to come up with stories for those different names are just wasted time?
No, they're absolutely correct.
Nice.
Our theory on this is the headcanon's rule that every fan, this is your game, and the stories you came up with in here are the stories of the game.
Oh, that's exciting. I submitted something on this in 4th grade as a story. Yeah. I don't remember what grade I got. Must not have been good.
I actually did use a soundtrack from one track from Quest for Glory 5 on one of my school projects in college and got full points for it.
So what David's doing now is he's in the monastery for the sake of collecting the 5 rituals to awaken the Dark One. He needs those 5 rituals because they're requirements to get to the end game, and getting those rituals is each character has their own way of doing it, but there seems to be a lot of overlap in this. But the nice thing is that it's after midnight. He shows up in his hotel room that he has not paid for, and they just make him pay for it. But now the Domovoy is there.
It's convenient how the routing works out, almost as if I have this planned in advance.
A lucky coincidence, I'm sure.
Alright, so it's now day 4, but we don't do anything on this day. The next event is on day 5.
So, in true heroic tradition, now that we've stolen a doll from the innkeepers, now that we've let some will-o-wisps pass away, and now that we've... man, we really aren't very good heroes, are we? That's not good.
I have the title.
That's
that
fair.
counts.
You got a cape, too. But no, day 4 is for sleeping. You got to make sure you're fully rested for the rest of it, because we're not going to be sleeping very much after this.
I thought the red sash meant you were a Klingon, but I suppose it means you're a hero.
Nice.
Or is that the Romulans that wear the sashes?
No, yeah, I think you got it right. You got the Klingons there.
So we are really interested in having some sort of mega skip for the game, and as far as I know, if one exists, then it's going to be figuring out some way to not have to rescue Igor from the grave. The gypsies will not let us into their camp until I have proved Davy is innocent. But if there was some sort of out-of-bounds clip at the gypsy camp, we could get in without them letting us in.
Yeah, we've copied the debug scripts from other games into this one, and they do work. So what we found is that in the gypsy camp, you can warp yourself into Magda's wagon. And if you do that, the game proceeds as normal. You can learn about the Destiny spell, which is kind of the gatekeeper for us being able to do anything. So if there is a warp here, it's in this upcoming screen here. And we just haven't been able to figure it out.
Poor luck.
Yeah, that was pretty... Oh,
Juked!
You juked the bunny. Nice. But now they'll let us in because we did save this gypsy that we didn't actually hear anything about.
Who are you
The
again?
Vorpal Bunny, of course, is the toughest monster in the game.
It's the one that scares me.
Hardest to hit.
Not that we watched any Mighty Python, right?
No, of course not.
Pure parallel evolution, I'm sure.
This is about the most awkward dancing scene imaginable.
State of the art!
I don't know. I went to my first dance the same year that I played this game for the first time. I learned everything I know about dancing from that hero. Yeah.
For Hero U, we did a trailer and showed the hero smooching a wolf, actually.
Ah.
And under the header romance, and got several comments that apparently romance only means sex these days, whereas to us, romance is is loving friendship. But apparently it means sex these days. So everybody said, "Ooh, bestiality."
Nice.
Oh.
No, there is no bestiality in Hero U.
A question. I did have a question about that. In the lore of this, gypsies are not about what you're thinking. Anyway, in the lore of Hero U, the gypsy is also a shapeshifter. Are all gypsies in the Gloriana lore shapeshifters, or is it just certain ones?
They're
Whoa.
all shapeshifters, they just don't all shift to the same thing.
Ooh, so there's more than just wolves.
Yeah, so it's a regional thing, depending upon what part of the world they came from.
And of course, there are rovers in Hero U because we're informed that in Europe, the word gypsy has become an epithet and is a very insulting word that you do not use. Much like the N word in the US, you simply do not use the word. So we use rover.
Gotcha.
Which is also a wordplay on the fact that the rovers, should change into canines.
And the Gypsy Rover and Blackjack Davy of the music scene of folk music.
Yeah, so Gypsy Davy in this game comes from one of the child ballads, old folk.
Okay. I didn't know that reference, huh?
Yeah, it's the Raggle Taggle Gypsies, and Woody Guthrie did a version of it he called Gypsy Davy.
This is actually a character from Quest for Glory 1 that the game, it says that we defeated, but I don't remember. Do you remember, David?
Who?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, but we need to visit her. This is Baba Yaga of Slavic lore. It's a really interesting character.
She has a bit of a sweet tooth.
Yes.
And this whole game being set in Mordavia, which is an analog of Transylvania, Slavic lore was appropriate, as it wasn't, particularly in the first game, but Baba Yaga is a visitor.
David could have actually skipped that transition if he had learned the reversal spell in Quest for Glory 2, but that would have taken way too much time.
Maybe for a single game import run.
Yes.
Anyway, so we give Baba Yaga the pie so that we can get the gnome's humor back. Wait, what gnome? We've never met any gnome.
Well, that's okay, because he was distinctly unfunny, so it's just why you haven't met.
I also need the Dark One ritual.
Yeah, the magic user we've found is actually one of the slower runs, the slowest of the any percent runs, because it seems like there's always more to do. Like the magic user has to go into Baba Yaga one more time and has to go to Arana's garden in this. Getting all the spells seems to be the big point grabber, or the big trigger for most of the events to happen in the Quest for Glory series for the wizard. The thief just seems to do whatever it wants and gets away with it. Except in 100%, where the thief suddenly becomes the slowest in a lot of cases.
I suspect the fighter is a little slower than the thief.
That's the other puzzle he has to do.
Yeah, this is based on the color wheel Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet. So you use that to spell out a word.
Now, did you pick their name before you had Roy G. Biv, or did you pick their? Did you think of the puzzle after the fact that you thought, oh wow, that actually works?
Yes.
One of those. Either way.
Ask me no questions, right?
Yeah, Porkova was just such a good name, so we named the castle and then figured out, oh yeah, that puzzle.
So an interesting thing here is that every door in the castle is locked, and I think that's specifically tied to having lock-picking skill. I don't have any lockpicks, though. I never actually picked any up.
But because he has the open spell from Quest for Glory 1, the one spell that he bought in that game, the open spell is the win spell. It gets you through pretty much every door.
Yeah, we always thought that, all thieves should learn a little magic because the ability to turn invisible, the ability to cast open, the ability to cast sleep, are all win spells for a thief or a rogue.
By the way, be prepared because the hero is about to cause the death of another.
No!
Press F to pay respects to Toby.
Yeah, this is the innkeeper's daughter, and it wouldn't be, I don't want to say, are we doing something heroic by returning her? Or are we doing something unheroic because, well, I guess Toby's doing something heroic because he's sacrificing himself. So, but either way,
Toby's the real hero.
yeah.
I have to admit, the first time, 25 or so years ago that I played through this, and I came to this scene, I actually.
What was that? 64. Perfect.
Okay, well, he says I cut off there.
Yep, you did.
I cried at the death of Toby, when I played the game, which, that's. Electronic Arts had the advertisement, "Can a computer game make you cry?" And, well, this one, actually, that was a scene that Laurie had written that I had not played before, and when I played through it, it really got me.
Yeah, he's a neat character. I mean, he slams the door in the face, whenever you don't have the doll for him, and but yet he is that little girl's protector, and you can tell he really cares about him just from the way that she talks about him if you actually take the time to talk to her.
Who? Alright, so I've just learned the ultimate joke from Punny Bones, and that's pretty important. When I go to sleep here, there's a note's going to appear at the foot of my bed. That note only appears after you have learned the ultimate joke and you have rescued Tanya. But also, I must specifically read the note or else Atavis will not appear outside the castle.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of required for the end of the game, which is breaking this game very difficult from the speedrunning standpoint for any percent. We need the staff, we need 5 of the rituals, and technically we don't need the ultimate joke. If we're in the final cave, the game assumes we have the ultimate joke, but you can't get to the end game unless you know the ultimate joke, so it's one of those required triggers. Those are the only ones that we could find. It seems like if we could break one of those open, we'd have a way through this game a little quicker.
By the way, Baba Yaga in our lore, not in real Slavic lore, is all about food. Being an ogress, she's always hungry. So in this case, the item you get from her for the Punny Bones is a Good Humor bar, which is a reference to the Good Humor ice cream trucks that we loved when we were kids.
Yep.
Of course, Baba Yaga had taken his sense of humor away, if he even had one.
Yeah, gnomes are punsters in this lore.
And Laurie had a great and difficult time writing the worst possible jokes for Punny Bones, where he always messes up the punchlines and so on.
Are there any gnomes in Hero U?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
There will be. I don't think there is in the first one. But we're coming up to the next ones.
So interesting glitch here. I can actually go right through the gate because I have all the rituals, but the script will not trigger unless I actually leave to the forest, then come back, and then go through the gate.
Yeah, the collision on that gate, he can just kind of 9 3/4 that gate and go right through. But now he's headed to the end game. But there are gnomes coming in Hero U, right?
Yep.
Oh,
if we get far enough into it.
Oh, God help you. All right.
Our next game has a half-elf. That's a new one for us.
That's new for the series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Summer Days when it comes out.
Yep, Summer Days should be out next year. We're going to have a Kickstarter in the fall for it. And it's a very different style of game.
Yeah, it's more of a visual novel, you were saying, right?
Yes. It's going to be more visual, and it's going to be more, it's more of a story-driven game altogether.
Gotcha. So I'm going to guess it's not going to be anything like Doki Doki, right?
No.
Okay, just checking. I mean, I don't think that qualifies for Limit Break.
We had to play that one all the way through, to really get this style.
Research, it's called.
I was going to say, if you cried for Toby, I can only imagine how that one went.
For me, that was mostly just horrified realization.
Hashtag spoilers.
Yeah. It's definitely a different style of game, and so therefore we're not doing anything like that, except that we see what we can get away with as a style of.
So there's a little glitch here where I can actually just run right through the blood. It's not going to hurt me. As long as I click hand on the right things. That blood's supposed to be acidic. It's supposed to kill me instantly.
Yeah,
But Thief does what he wants.
Yeah, you start the game in the last area, which is just another like kick in the stomach that we can't break it, because you actually are here, and you could, in theory, just get to the end and take out the Dark One, but you need too much and you can't get through it. So, but right now he's going through the rituals to breathe life back into the Dark One, the Avuzal, the Great Cthulhu mythos, H.P. Lovecraft style monster that is the big bad of this.
I also thought Avuzal was a really neat name for a troll in World of Warcraft. I did name one of my trolls that.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we actually stole the name from Enton LaVey's Satanic Rituals from the Church of Satan, just because it was such a cool name, and it was the spider god in that ritual. So it's possible that we're actually doing satanic rituals when we play this game, but we don't think so.
Well, we're not. I mean, we just glitched out of that last room, actually, which is kind of funny. In a normal casual play, the sense room can very quickly kill you. And I lost many attempted runs in like the last possible second that were supposed to be single segment. I was trying to submit them, and you just die. And then we find out that, no, actually, you can pretty much just, from the ground floor, scream the ritual up at the thing, and it works. So we're not quite sure why.
That seems pretty senseless.
Oh, there's another person that... All right, so now we're going to tell the ultimate joke about the farmer's daughter.
What even is the ultimate
wizard.
joke?
Yeah.
We never actually wrote it.
No. Is that another Monty Python inspiration from Edward Scribbler? Nice. That's one of my favorite sketches. And that's Quest for Glory 4.
Yay!
Congratulations, you did it.
I'm a hero, right?
And you didn't even crash the game. Amazing.
And look how many people survived this one. I'm impressed.
Yeah, when this game was originally released in the floppy-only version, it went out about 6 months before it should have. And it was a big rush for Sierra to get it out for that Christmas because they didn't think they were going to have King's Quest done in time. Well, it turns out they did get King's Quest out, and this went out with so many bugs that they assigned Kevin Ray to work on it for another year while we were also adding the voices. And he fixed a lot of the glitches. There's still some. But we were very sad that one of the I think best crafted writing in the game ended up as the most glitchy. But they sort of re-released it, and it was much better the second time around.
And then we were fired. So yes, we were fired. They broke our contract between 4 and this game, but they hired us back for this game because they desperately needed a game to do down here in Oakhurst, California.
What David just did there is kill an off-screen character that is supposed to appear later, and killing that on-screen character fools the game in setting a switch that makes all the characters think you're actually farther than you are. So a game that normally, even casually, even the speedrun versions of it take about, without glitches, take about something like 40, 50 minutes, is now only going to take about 6. So he's going right to the end game. But yeah, there was a letter writing campaign to get this game back on, and I was part of it. I wrote in, did my part.
Thank you. That's why we're here. That's kept us going.
Yeah, and we would have been very sad if we had not been able to make this game, because this was, planned as part of the series from the beginning, and kind of this is the culmination of the whole Quest for Glory story.
Yeah.
So even though it's a different art style, this game was written in C++ rather than SCI, so it has a very different feel from the rest of the games, but it really is the culmination of this.
So Frostbite, which we did not learn actually, we were given it for free on import, is insanely overpowered. One casting can kill most things, which is good because I have to preserve my mana pretty carefully here. I can't open these gates unless I've calmed these people down, and then again here. Yeah, I didn't... What just happened?
Whoa, that was different.
It
wouldn't
wow, I'm so glad I made a safety save.
It wouldn't be a Quest
I've
for
never
Glory
seen
game
that
without
before.
a new without a new soft lock. It wouldn't be. The number of things that we found that just surprised. I thought you just warped in there. You found a quicker way in, and wow, that's neat. There's a couple places at this end game where if you don't do things in exactly the right order, or you do it just a little weird, suddenly things just don't work the same way, or don't work as intended. David and I have very different strategies for this last room, but yeah, seeing this is the whole culmination. But there was a planned expansion pack for this game also, wasn't there?
Yeah, we were going to make... This was originally supposed to be a multiplayer game. But somehow, in the course of 3 years of development, we never got the multiplayer down.
And that was the point at which Sierra got acquired by CUC International, merged to form Ascendant, and there was a big accounting scandal at CUC that basically ended up causing the company to close down.
Are you casting spells from your forehead? Jeez.
Let him go.
No, I think he's breathing frost.
I've only seen this glitch one time, and I'm so glad it happened here.
I don't understand what's going on here. He's supposed to be standing there watching this guy rant.
Dragon will rise to destroy all of Silmaria. If I cannot rule what is rightfully mine.
Oh, man.
They're dancing to the rhythm.
I actually know a little bit about this because I played with trying to get this to work in windowed mode in DirectX. And what happens is, in this scene in particular, it locks the character's mouse and seems to click it in like up one of the upper corners in order to get him moved to that center area, but sometimes it misses. And then you end up with doing a dance for another game. So
And you killed Minos, Shadow, just by listening to him, huh?
yeah.
I'm getting better at this.
I guess he talked himself to death.
I'm frequently in danger of that.
We found a couple new glitches here also. One of them is that Frostbite, even when you're paused, continues to do damage. That's one nice thing. But what can happen here, and boy, this is going to be really neat if David can hit this, but the timing on it is so tight, is that you can Frostbite the dragon from downtown there, and if you hit him with enough of the spell, you can pretty much drain his life almost down to nothing.
I'm not risking it.
There's a chance that if he kills the dragon, it pops out of existence and soft locks there. But what we need him to do is travel up. I think you might be able to actually hit him from downtown with enough to actually kill him with the Force Bolt.
Force Bolt seems kind of weak. I'm gonna stick to the Frostbite strat.
If you can get the dragon's health low enough, you can actually get him down to no HP in this part, and you pretty much just throw up a 3-point shot with a magic spell, and it kills the dragon instantly. But this should do it also. There he goes.
Time's going to be coming up pretty soon when I say yes to becoming a king. Because after all my hard work, I deserve to be king, right?
Yeah.
All right, real soon here. Time. And, oh, I clicked no. After all that, that's all right. It still counts.
Guess you weren't worthy.
I think I grew a conscience at the last moment.
Save the world.
He said, "Kings lead armies. I'm not going into battle."
101.52. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a solid time. It was only within the last a couple months that we've gotten sub 1 hour, but the timing on it is so tight. It's like 59 minutes, and David has the world record, 59 minutes and some odd seconds. But
33 seconds.
33, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, thanks for running it. Thank you for showing us how to do this right.
Yeah. All right. So I do
Yeah,
have
maybe we'll-
one more thing coming up. We had a donation incentive to fight the Pizza Elemental in Quest for Glory 2 remake, and we met it.
yeah.
So
while we're getting set up for that, can I sneak in a donation comment?
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have many of those, did we?
Yeah, yeah. This is $10 from LLK. Hey, gang, LLK here. I have a question for Glory for the developers and, well, everyone else in the room, too. Which pizza elemental would be the scariest to fight in real life? My guess is Chicago Deep Dish Supreme Pizza, but I'm opening the floor for other viewpoints.
Pineapple and ham.
I'm hearing some shouts for Hawaiian. I hope I scored that.
I'd say garlic and jalapeno.
I like meat too much. A veggie pizza sounds scary.
Yeah, I hope I scored that awesome Urana's Peace poster, and let's see that Caldina fight in Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Yeah, but can you imagine that molten hot cheese with jalapenos so that just adds to the pain?
All right. So
So our favorite pizzas are sausage, mushroom, and olive, or artichoke on a pesto base rather than a tomato base.
All right.
Optional garlic.
Optional garlic.
all right. So I want to go ahead and get into this bonus incentive. So in the AGD Interactive's fan remake of Quest for Glory 2, well, Quest for Glory has a running joke of the fifth element being pizza, but I never fought a pizza elemental in Quest for Glory 2, right? Well, there's one hidden in this game somewhere, and I have loaded a save previously with all my stats maxed out because I am going to need it. And so here he
Yeah,
is.
the combat in this remake was much harder than the
Much.
original.
I relish it. All right, so should I fight this creature or make it go away?
We should fight it, of course.
Let's fight it. Let's fight it.
That's scary.
Well, that sounds like something a king would do, but you declined it.
All right, so this is an extremely difficult fight. You can see that I'm poking it, but I'm just not doing very much damage. Pizzas are falling all over, and if they land on me, they're going to hurt a little bit. That said, his punches are very slow and easily telegraphed. I can duck under him easily. The tentacles, however, I got to watch for those tentacles because they hurt a lot. And whenever they wiggle, oh, by the way, there's this thing. If pizzas start falling on the second, fourth, and fifth rows and the tentacles wiggle endlessly, then he's going to do that eating attack, and I let him do that on purpose. I need to do that to win the fight. This is actually going rather smoothly so far, but
This is why you support your local pizza shops and not those chains. This will happen if you're not careful.
so the reason I let him eat me is because I swiped the inside of his mouth, and so when he tried to eat the pizza, it didn't heal him. That's really important for this fight. You don't let him heal at all. You can't spare the wiggle room. The other thing is that when you go into the mouth, you will only interrupt one eating of the pizza. So after he eats, you got to step back and you got to wait for him to try to eat you again. Here we are. And I do have to specifically press buttons to try to swing while I'm in his mouth. Otherwise, he will actually, wow, he will actually eat me.
So you have to cut your way out of the belly of the whale. Says,
Yeah, you got to pull a Drax and go in. Get him from the inside.
these are great tips. So what happened to me when I played this remake is I was enthralled with the beautiful art and reminiscing about the story and so on, not having played it for years, and went out into the desert and encountered a brigand or something, and it proceeded to clean my clock and kill me. I said, no problem, I'll just restore my what saved game.
What saved game? Nice.
We're really bad at saving, and we've forgotten all how to really play these games.
Well, the autosave works really well in most of them. Like 4 and 5, it seems like, because when you die in 5, you have a continue button. When you die in 4, your autosaves are happening constantly. 3, it felt like autosave was like, hey, you know what? You started the game. We should put one there. And you can...
But we wanted to make these games fair, so they weren't Super's death traps, but you know.
Yeah, people keep telling us
He's
how
gone.
hard these games were. We always thought they were too easy.
That is not an easy fight. That is easily the hardest fight. And you can pick up the pizza. Make sure you eat it.
Oh yeah, you got to contain your elementals, and well, here's the best way to contain this one: eat them.
You pick up the doughy disc.
Yay!
You can get a
Thanks
pizza
a lot,
box.
people.
Yes, thank you so
Yum,
much for
delicious.
having me.
Yeah,
This
this. Thanks for all your work on this series too, Corey and Laurie. This has been a joy to be able to work through, for so many years, and I know it's been kind of cool to see like what we've been able to find going through. I know David's been finding like things left and right too. So we've done a lot of work on this series in order to bring it down a half hour in 3 years.
Yeah, that was
Awesome job.
amazing.
I should mention we now have a Patreon that's for Laurie and me personally, but will enable us to keep making games and probably.
Now that I know that, I'm going on.
Yes, and we'll continue to make games for the next 30 years at the rate we're going. It takes that long to get a series got.
I have LinkedIn in the sidebar.
That was wonderful, but I think that was all the incentives, right?
Yeah, that was everything.
Well, congratulations, well done, and thank you everyone who came.
And yeah, thanks everybody for donating to such a worthy cause. And yeah, thanks everybody.
Mental health, we certainly need it after working at Sierra, believe me. Yeah, the game industry is intense.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right, thanks, David, for your run. That was Quest for Glory Collection by David TKI. You're watching RPG Limit Break 2019, sponsored by Twitch. In just a few minutes, we'll be having a run of Shadowrun by Gyre. Before then, I'll send you over to some ads, and I'll be handing it off to our next host. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to RPG Limit Break 2019. My name is Bob the Ninja Goldfish, and I'm taking over here on host from Escron after that awesome Quest for Glory collection run. And I would like to remind us all why we are here. RPG Limit Break 2019 proudly supports the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They are a grassroots campaign that deals with all kinds of advocacy and awareness, education and support in the community. And with May being Mental Health Month, we think it was a very apt cause to support. So let's go ahead and see if we've got some donations to happen here. I have a $5 donation from Nottle, who says, as a girl whose actual name is Jolene, I am so happy to be included in all of this. Glad that we can help. So just to go over the prizes that you probably saw in the interview right before the Quest for Glory collection. Over this whole section, we've got the art print of Arana's Palace. There's the Quest for Glory 2 poster, and actual copies of the Quest for Glory collection all being given away. And those will go through the end of the next game, which is Planescape Torment, and get your donations in for those. So you may have seen that Pizza Elemental run and heard me talk about the prizes earlier. I'm probably pretty loud in the entire room, so we have noticed some talk about incentives and prizes, and that does mean that you get to basically vote with your wallet to name characters or get our runners to complete difficult or quite awesome Pizza Elemental related tasks. You can get to pick which story you see in certain games, all kinds of options. You can also become eligible to win prizes donated by community members of RPG Limit Break and others. All those donations do still go to NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And if you want more information, check the channel bio for a link to the 2019 tracker, or head over to our website, rpglimitbreak.com. Click on the tracker at the top. Well,